Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing some old school pattern. And what I mean by patterns are basically taking an image in Photoshop, and I've got my image down here already opened up. And we're going to be taking this and making this a repeating pattern. So what we're going to be doing first, this is my guy, and the image size for this guy is 500 pixels by 375 pixels at 100 pixels per inch. So it's going to be used for web. If I wanted to make a pattern that was usable for print, I would probably do this at 300 pixels per inch or more. That way I've got some flexibility to scale stuff up and scale stuff down. Again, when you're doing stuff for web, I would say the resolution you want to build stuff at would be at 100. If you're doing stuff for print, it should be 300 pixels or more. Or what you could do is build everything for print and then just res it down when you need stuff for web use. It's the most efficient use of images because you're getting one image to do the work of two. So anyway, I digress. So what we're going to be doing first is we're going to make a duplicate layer, and we're going to call this layer, if I can get this, my tablet's going wonky today. I'm going to call this cutout, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this layer and I'm going to cut out these little guys right here, the flowers themselves. And what I'm going to do, jeez, this is driving me crazy. What I'm going to do actually is you can use the magic wand to make a selection and select all this stuff. You can use the pen tool. For the speed of this exercise, to show you guys the guts of it, I'm going to use the magic wand tool. Now the magic wand tool, you've got your little options all the way through here. Really what it does is it works on contrast. So if you have a high contrast area, you know, the pink and the green, the wand is going to make a selection and grab whatever colors that you click on. So for example, if I click on the pink right now, it's going to grab a chunk of pink. And notice when I go in here, it grabs just a little bit. If I want to grab some more, I hold the shift key down and click over here and click in the area of color that I want it to grab, and it's going to snag. It does a pretty good job just on its own. You do have to be careful though, because unlike other tools, you see that it doesn't really grab right to the very edge, so you're going to end up with this kind of like halo all the way around. One way to get rid of that would be, of course, just to shift click and kind of keep on going. But you see, sometimes it doesn't know where to stop, and it will grab some of the green as well, so we have to be careful. What you could do is you could also go in here and you could increase the tolerance to say 50 or say 100. It goes up from 0 to 100, and 100 being it doesn't really discriminate what colors it grabs. It's going to snag a whole bunch of stuff. For example, if I click on 100 and snag that, see, it automatically just grabs all the whites, all the pinks, everything, and some of the greens also. So just so you know. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly make a selection here, and you see when I clicked on that, all this information down here was grabbed as well. So I'm just going to undo that. So I'm going to go through, make sure some of this stuff is selected, and I'm going to also, now that I've got this kind of selected, I'm going to go and use my Lasso tool right over here. And what I'm going to do is just kind of go through and hold my shift key down to make more selections of this stuff. So I'm going to run through and just make a big, huge circle around some of the image, some of the bits and pieces that were left out. So I'm going to circle that. And what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, I want you to include all of this information that I'm circling. So what I'm doing is I'm making one big selection. All these flowers are all selected. I'm going to go in here and make a little bit more. And of course, if this was for a client or for anything other than a demo, I would be spending a lot more time making the selection. But I just want to kind of get this over and done with, because this really is kind of not a big part of the demo. The big part of the demo is making the pattern itself. So now that we have this guy here, what we're going to do is we got the cutout selected, it's on the cutout layer, and we're going to Command J. Oops, don't want to do that. Command J, that brings me up, that duplicates the layer. So now we've got, I'm just going to turn off these layers here. So now we've got the flowers, which is what I cut out. And you remember what I said about making a halo? That's what I mean about a halo. You've got, this is actually remnants of the green background of the flowers. So if I turn this on, there you go, you can't really see it. That's usually why I prefer to use the pen tool, because you have a lot more control over what you can or cannot grab. You can make clean cuts. If you're messing with the selection tools, you're always going to get this halo, and you got to go back and mess with it. There are ways around it, and I'll talk about that later. Anyway, right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go on here, and we're gonna turn this guy on. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to actually be kind of like folding. I'm using a thing called an offset filter, and what that does is that one of the settings is that it kind of takes chunks of the image and kind of folds it out to the edge. I don't know if you remember when you were little, you may or may not have made like those little paper, those little guys holding hands. Like you take a piece of paper, you fold it in half or in quarters, and then you cut out like half of a person, and then you unfold it, and then you've got like this really cool, paper people holding hands and stuff. Kind of the same approach here. So we're gonna kind of be actually folding this digital image and shooting out bits and pieces of the flowers to the very corners, and the corners are going to be folded into the middle, and then we have to blur the middle, and then we throw this beautiful flower, these guys, on top. It kind of sounds confusing, but no sweat, it's really easy. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to select a cutout layer, and then we're going to go to filter, and then we are going to go to other, and then we're going to go to offset. Offset's the one we want to use. And when we go to offset, you've got this option here. Set to transparent sets the undefined areas, which are the bits and pieces that are flowing all over the place. The transparent repeat edge pixels just kind of stretches the very edge pixel of whatever the undefined area is and pulls it